So to get started to add that blog section or blog carousel on our website, it's going to be just below here. What we have to do is first of all have blog posts listed or published on our website. Then we can echo those blog posts onto our hero section. To do that, we are going to first of all come over here to posts, all posts. Then we can actually add blog posts. So how do you write blog posts in the first place? So for example, if I say add a new blog post under all posts in our WordPress website, for example, if we want to add this kind of blog post here, we first of all have to begin by adding a title. Now we have this title here. I'm going to come over here in my Gutenberg editor, then paste the title. You can simply as well type it. Then over here you can either copy paste your content from Microsoft Word. It could be Grammarly that you're using. So what you simply have to do is either you start typing your content or you simply copy paste. So what I'm going to do in this case, I'm going to copy paste the content. Copy. This is all dummy content, so I'll just paste. I'll have to fix this. You can as well add images in here by adding a new block. Come over here to image, and then you can simply say upload an image, or you can easily go to the media library. For example, here, media library. Then you can say I want to add this one over here. Then you select and insert. Then now we have an image. We can add a hyperlink. For example, I want to hyperlink something here. Let me say the highlights. So I can just say, come over here after highlighting that word highlights. Click over here, add a link, and we can say it's going to link up to quematravel.com. That URL. And now we have a URL here. Now, in case you want this URL to open up in a new tab, you simply have to check this. And that means whenever someone clicks on this URL, they'll be taken into a new tab. In case you as well want to bold something, you can simply just say bold by selecting that word or that sentence. You bold that. In case you want to add a new paragraph, you can just come at the end of any line, boom. Then you just simply add your paragraph over there. Then you can simply start typing. In case you want to move that paragraph somewhere else, you just click here on the arrows. In case you want to convert that paragraph to something else, for example, if I want to transform this into a heading, just click over here on the paragraph sign. Then boom, now we have transformed it into a heading. Then as well we can check and say we want maybe it to be a heading 4, something like that, or a heading 3, or whatever you want. So in this case, I'll leave everything just as it is over here. Then over right here, I can categorize the post into a category. For example, when you come over here and look at this, you realize that this is falling into the category of Busika and Fort Portal. So how do you add categories? You either can add them over here, or you can create categories over here by saying add a new category, add the category called Busika. Then we can as well add another category, and this category is called Fort Portal. Add a new category. Now we have categorized this automatically to these two categories. But how about in case you want to create other categories without creating them necessarily here? I'm going to first save this as a draft. I'm going to exit back to the dashboard, and under posts there is something called categories. Now you realize we already have Busika and Fort Portal. So in case you want to create other categories with even a description, this is where you have to do it from. For example, I want to add these other categories like Bwindi, Ginger, Kapeka, Rampala. So what I'm going to do is come over here. I'm going to add Bwindi. The slug is automatically created. Kapeka, and then we are going to add one called Ginger Rampara. Alright, so those are like kind of tourist destinations or whatever that person did that specific tour. So when we come back over here on our posts, you realize that we have already our post here and it's in the draft. So what we can do is we can either say quick edit, and we can select instead of the status being draft, we can change that to published, and we can simply update. That means that this post will be automatically published, but we have not yet added a featured photo for this. So I'm going to simply say edit, And under edit, I'm going to come down below here to featured image, and we are going to add a featured image for this specific blog post. So I'll come over here, select the files, come here to my file library, and I have to look up for that image. Okay, I'll open the image. I'll add the alternative text, which is the same as the title of the image, and voila, there we go. We have now our featured image. We can add the excerpt of this blog. This is what someone reads when they are previewing or viewing this blog post anywhere. For example, when I go back here on homepage, we come down below here to the blog posts themselves, you realize there is this text over here. So in case you don't specify the excerpt text to be shown, WordPress will by default pick up the lines that come first in your blog posts. So in the case whereby you really don't care about that, you just leave this section here blank. But of course, if you do mind about it, you can customize that content by adding text that you want to appear before someone reads your blog post. So for example, when I come back here to post, I come here to the excerpt, then I've added my excerpt text. Discussion, you can enable whether to allow comments on a blog post. For example, on this one, when I click over here, you see that we have a comment section here. And in case you're not logged in, obviously it will ask you for the website and your name and also to post your comment. But since I'm already logged in, WordPress doesn't require me to add all that information. Anyway, now back here to our editor, we are now simply going to say we don't want to allow pingbacks, we will allow comments, and then we are going to say publish. If we are to exit this editor, and then we come over here to preview or view our blog post, this is how it looks like currently. It's categorized under Bosika and Fort Portal. You remember when you created our categories and also categorized that this blog post will go under Bosika. Don't mind about the header, we're going to be fixing that just in a while. We have our featured image, we have the author email showing up. We are going to fix this in a while so that it's their name to show up. So right here we have the blog image we added and as well the hyperlink, and obviously what we bolded in our blog post. Now let's first go and fix the author of the blog post. So when we come back here to posts, we're going to come to users, all users. This is where all your users will be listed in your WordPress website. So to edit this user, we are going to say edit, and we will add the name of that user. So in this case, it is my name, Hamza. I want to display name publicly as my full name. Now what I'm going to do is simply update. Once I update, I come back here to my already published blog post. When I reload this now changes automatically. Maybe you want to customize how the published date appears over here. Instead of it being just these numbers, you want it maybe to be in full, to list the month itself, just like you see over right here. What we do is simply come back here to our website, settings, general settings, and this is where we can change our date format. Instead of using the numbers, we want to use this full date, and then I'm going to simply save changes. When I come back here to our blog post, I'm going to reload. You'll see that now that automatically changes. Maybe now you want to ask, how did we come up with a layout like where the content box is kind of overlapping the featured image? That is still under Addons customizer. Coming back here to appearance, customize, then we go straight to our blog post section, blog posts, single layout, and here is where you can customize your blog post layout. For example, you want to show the title of the blog post by simply checking this. Title alignment, you want it to be either left aligned, center, or whatever you want. And obviously you can make changes on the respective devices, for example tablet and mobile. You can choose a layout of how your posts are going to show up. For example, you can choose this normal layout, or you use this one over here, the narrow one, or you use this over here, the full width. So in a nutshell, that's how you customize your single blog post layout. Everything from the title, the thumbnail, to the meta content, and the post layout itself. So once you're done, you simply say publish, and then you can simply exit this over here. So since we have a number of blog posts, what I'm going to simply do is I'm going to add this content off camera just to spare some time so that we can further continue setting up our blog carousel on our hero section or our blog hero section right here on the home page. So let me just go straight and add all that content, and I'll be back once it's done. Alright, so welcome back. Now we have all our blog posts published on our website and categorized, having their featured images, just like you see here. I'll just randomly pick up 1 or 2 or 3. This is the first one we did together. This is the second one, all imported. This is the third one. Since now we have all our blog posts published and having the featured images, now let's go and start adding our blog hero section, just like this over here. We are going to first of all add a section, a hero section. So I can do that by either first of all duplicating this, and we just simply duplicate this section. I'll just say blogs, and over here we can just add a description. So in this case, I'm going to delete this other column. We don't need it. So here in the text editor, I'll enter my text that describes what happens in this section. So we can even reduce further on the width of this widget by clicking on the widget, come to advanced positioning. Instead of the content width or the custom width being 454, we can just let it be 400, something like that. Under this section, we are going to add our blog carousel, and to do that, we have to do one thing. We're going to add an add-on for Elementor called the Premium Addons for Elementor. It's the only add-on we are going to be using in this tutorial, just like I have already told you. Now, what we do is to come back here to our plugins area. So we're going to say plugins, and you're going to install the Premium Addons for Elementor by coming over here to add a new plugin. Then search for the Premium Addons for Elementor. It will show up over here. It has currently over 400,000 active installs. Once you have it installed, it will show up over down below here in the menu. Click over there and come over here to widgets and add-ons. By checking it over here, then you are good to go. So now let's come back into our Elementor editor. We are going to delete our carousel, the image carousel, and we are going to add our blog carousel, which is called the premium blog. Add it over there, and we are going now to get started customizing our blog carousel. But first, we are going to rename this section to blogs hero. We are going to need 2 columns, and to have the 2 columns, we are going to first of all add an inner section, or by simply duplicating this inner section here. Duplicate this. And in here, we're going to add a new column. So now there are 2. We are going to delete whatever is in there. Now we are going to drag this into this column. And now we are going to drag again. We can copy, paste in this other column. So now we have 2 of those. So the first column will take a column width of 70%, and the remaining will be for the other column. We will be using the classic skin. Then the layout is going to be masonry, and we want to have 3 columns. And before we do any other thing, we are going to come down below here to carousel, and we enable our carousel so that we have just our blog post in a carousel, just like this over here. And for the settings here, we are going to say we are going to enable autoplay. We will leave the autoplay speed to 5,000. The slides to scroll are going to be 1, so that every scroll, it's only 1 slide scrolling. Then down below here, the navigation buttons. So we'll leave everything to be the arrows, just like this over here. And the arrow position, I'm going to make it -10, so they appear to be coming just out of the carousel. We're going now to make changes to our featured image. So come over here to the featured image option. It's going to be full size. The hover effect is going to be bright, and then the height is going to be 400. Actually, I'll leave it to be 300 pixels, and then it's going to be cover, and the shape divider is none. We don't need any shape dividers. Okay, this looks so far so good. So under the display settings, the row spacing is going to be 1, and the column spacing is going to be 50. So we're going to change this to 50, something like that. Alignment will be center. So for the post options, we are going to leave it at 22 words. We'll use dots, and we will deactivate. We don't want to show categories, and we don't want to show the comments meta. Now we head over to the style options, under style, and we come here to the title. We are going to make our title typography, obviously, to use the default typography, and then the color is that, and on hover it's actually going to be the same color but kind of transparent. Look at the title. When I hover, it kind of becomes dull. So for the meta options, we are going to reduce the weight to 400. The size will be 12. Content box, the text color is going to be our gray text. I don't know, I think I'll just leave it in our text color. And for the padding over here, we're going to disable everything and we just make this to be 10, 30, and 10, and a 30. How is that? Looks good. And when we come over here to the box radius, we are going to simply use 30. And that's how we happen to have the rounded corners around each card. And for the carousel arrows, they're going to be in white. So our off-white here, size is going to be 50. And for the background color, we don't need a background color for those arrows. And so far looks so good. Now when you look at the before and now when you look at the after, something looks a little bit familiar. I think what I'm going to do is as well change the text color and just make it to match. So content box, text color, we're going to choose our secondary color. The meta text that we actually added for this blog post is overlapping the rule of 22 that we actually set up over here in our content post option, the excerpt length to be 22. So what I'm going to do is come back here to the posts. I either make it exactly 22 or less, or I delete the words. I'll come back here to the posts, all posts, I'll edit, then I'm going to come here to the excerpt text. Instead of going into writing to make sure that the text length here is 22, so I'm going to simply just delete this so that WordPress will pick up whatever is coming over here in the first paragraph. So I'll update this. Right, so now let's work on our other section. And remember, this section is basically going to be text without a featured image, and then we have a pagination or page numbers show up down below here so that someone doesn't really have to actually go to the blog archive page to be able to navigate through the different blog posts. So to do that, we are going to simply come back here to our editor. We are going to first of all select the skin to be modern. Offset is going to be 2. I'll deactivate the grid, and posts per page are going to be 3 posts. This is what you see exactly here. 1 post, the second one, and the third post. When we jump straight to the featured image, we actually don't want to show a featured image for this section. Now there we go. Under here, the display options, we are going to leave it at H2, row spacing is going to be 1, and obviously the alignment is staying on the left. Post excerpt is going to stay 22, and we are only going to display the author name, date meta, and the categories meta. We shall deactivate the comments meta. Under the advanced tabs, we'll uncheck the link in new tab. And for the pagination, we're going to enable the pagination over here. We are going to limit the number to be 3, and we'll align everything to be at the center. Now we'll head straight to the style options. We're going to change the hover color to a gray but a little bit transparent. The bottom spacing will be 0. So back here on the metadata, we are going to select on the typography option. We'll make this to be 12, and the weight is going to be 400. We just want it to match exactly what we did on this other widget here. Under the content box, we are going to actually change the text color here to our gray color, and the padding is going to be 10 all over, so we'll just simply hit in 10. For the box color, it's also going to be totally transparent. Boom, there we are. Looks good and neat so far. Now let's go straight to the pagination and style up our pagination. So on normal, we are going to change this to our off-white, and background is going to be orange, and on hover it's going to be reverse, and the same for active. Awesome. So the padding over here will be 10, 15, 10, 15, and we are going to actually add a border radius, and our border radius is going to be simply 10. Oh, sorry, actually those settings we had to do them on the normal. For the border radius, it's going to be 10 EM. So far so good. And now on this column here, we're going to just give it a padding just to have space for this navigation arrow under advanced and link. And on the left, we're going to give it a padding of 30. And that's how we have something like that. I think, further increase on the title so it can stand out, just like you see over right here, and also for these other blog posts. So I'm going to come over here, select that section, come to style. I'll just give it our secondary style, and the same over here to our widget. Under the title, we are going to come to typography and we give it our secondary style. So yeah, it looks a little bit way better and standing out. Okay, so now let me see what else do we have to look into. That's the responsive options. So let me see how does this look like on the tablet. So on the tablet, we are going to make this column to take over 100%. And as well, this other one at the bottom, we're going to make it to take over 100% of the width. And for this text widget now, I'm going to simply come back here to advanced, come to positioning, and I'm going to make the content width to be 100%. I'll apply some padding to this column. Under advanced and link, I'll give 30 on the right and 30 on the left. So we have some spacing over there. So I think all we need to do in this column is to increase a little bit on the background color so it kind of stands out. And come here to style. We're going to come over here to the background overlay, and we're going to kind of increase on the transparency of the color, something like this. Now let's look into the mobile option. Obviously, we're going to decrease the size of the title, so we can give it like an 80. We'll add some padding on top of the lower column, so advanced and link, and we're going to add some padding over here. I think 30 would work. Looks good. And I can finally say we are done with setting up our blog hero section or blog carousel section using the free version of Elementor. So right now when someone clicks on either this blog post, automatically they are taken to the single blog post page of that blog post. Here is still our hero section or our carousel section, and someone is able to navigate through. So congratulations on creating your first blog carousel section or hero section for your homepage using the free version of Elementor. So see you in the next section.